Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. This morning I woke up to the news that Muhammad Ali passed away. The legendary boxer passed away. I saw an article on the New York Times. It's a great article, a comprehensive article, and I recommend that you read it. So I will include a link to that article in the description box. But this brother passed away at 74. He's a legendary boxer, a three-time world heavyweight boxing champion who is loved and revered by many people. And I just want to take time to tell you what I think about the brother, to share my thoughts about this brother. See, this brother was great, not just because of his accomplishments in the boxing ring. He was great because he was a symbol of black pride. He was a symbol of black manhood. When other people were silent, this brother had the courage to speak out about black issues. This brother embodied black pride. He was a symbol of the whole black is beautiful and black pride movement in this country. At a time that still continues today where people devalue and marginalize black people. At a time when black people are either overtly or covertly taught that they are inferior. This brother was bold. This brother was courageous. This brother didn't kowtow. This brother didn't tap dance. This brother was upfront and in your face. He was confident. He had confidence when nobody believed in him. He believed in himself. When people wrote him off, when people talked about how the odds were all against him, this brother believed in himself. This brother said that he was the greatest. He was his own hype man. Even though he had people that supported him, people that were in his corner, this brother was his own hype man. This brother had catchy phrases, like rumble, young man, rumble. And he had a phrase like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. This brother was basically rapping before rapping became popular. The same kind of confidence you hear in modern day rap music, where brothers are braggadocious and all that kind of stuff. That's what this brother was, way ahead of the time of hip hop. This brother did what many athletes can't even do today. He spoke out about the issues of the day. He took courageous stands. Today, at a time when you have all these incidents of police brutality, all these young black men and women being killed by police, many of these athletes are silent. They don't have anything to say about that. Instead of speaking out against the violence against black people, many of these athletes, in order to curry favor, to earn favor from their white handlers and the white audience, these people, instead of challenging police brutality, they challenge those who speak out against police brutality. So it has become popular for these Negroes to speak out against Black Lives Matter. So that's what they do. Instead of speaking for the people, they speak against the people. So no matter how many millions of dollars these people earn, no matter how many endorsements those people earn, they can't earn our respect. And, this brother, Muhammad Ali, deserves our respect because he was courageous. He was bold. At a time when the Nation of Islam was viewed as some kind of hate group, at a time when, they were negatively looked upon, that brother had the courage to do the unimaginable, and that's join the Nation of Islam. and reject his former slave name, even though he had made money under the name Cassius Clay. So he would go on to change his name to Cassius X, and he would later change his name to Muhammad Ali, a noble and great name. And during his time in the Nation of Islam, the brother was mentored by Malcolm X. Malcolm X was his mentor and his guide and his friend. So with that kind of mentor, of course you're going to be a bold and strong black man if you follow that example. So this brother, Muhammad Ali, as I said before, he spoke out against racism and oppression. And not only did he speak out against these things, he actually stood up and stood strong. And he risked his very freedom for what he believed in. When he was drafted to serve in the Vietnam War, this brother rejected the draft. And he was eventually convicted of draft evasion. The brother appealed the decision. And while the case was pending in court, this brother lost 3.5 years of his athletic prime. Here he is at his physical height, at his physical prime. He lost those years. Years that he could have made a lot of money during. This brother sacrificed that for his principles. This brother put his principles over the paper. And for that, I respect him. This brother recognized what many people recognized later, that the war in Vietnam was nothing but another imperialist adventure, that the war in Vietnam was nothing but a quagmire, that it makes no sense for a black man to go all the way to some foreign and distant land fighting for freedom and democracy when the black man didn't even have freedom and democracy in his own country, when the black man was discriminated against in his own country, when the black man was beaten in his own country, hosed down in his own country. It made no sense for a black man to fight that fight. And this brother went on to say that he had nothing against the Viet Cong. He said no Vietnamese ever called him a nigger, when every other day white people would call that brother a nigger. You know, shortly after he won an Olympic title, he was called all kinds of niggers. When this brother was bold and courageous and speaking out, he was called nigger repeatedly. They don't like a strong black man. They like a punkified, sissified black man, an effeminate black man, a quiet black man that doesn't have a word to say about the issues. But this wasn't that kind of black man. This was a strong black man. So this brother later on would embrace Orthodox Islam, and he would move away from some of the teachings of the Nation of Islam. And even though he made that transition, he still recognized the contribution that the Nation of Islam made in terms of teaching people to have black pride and self-respect and dignity. So he recognized the greatness of the nation, even though he went on to embrace Orthodox Islam. Because if it wasn't for the nation, you know, many black people in this country would not be Muslims. They wouldn't even know about Islam, because those Arabs, they weren't coming here to teach the black man about Islam. You know, the Nation of Islam did more to spread the teaching of Islam than any other group that I can think of. But so this brother embraced Orthodox Islam. And as many people know, the Nation of Islam teaches that the white man is the devil. And although I don't agree with that, you know, I understand it. I understand why people take that position. When they look at history, when they look at the history of the white man, in his history of violence, his history of oppression, his history of slavery, his history of genocide, his history of thievery and all that, I can understand why one would call the white man a devil. But, the brother Muhammad Ali said that color does not make a man a devil. It is the heart and the soul and the mind that count. What's on the outside is only decoration. That's the attitude that he would later adopt. And that's part of the reason why a lot of people admire Muhammad Ali today, um, because he adopted that kind of perspective. A lot of people that hated him when he was in his prime love him today. Due to his Parkinson's disease, the brother was unable to speak boldly. He was unable to speak the way he used to speak. He was less outspoken. And I think that's part of the reason why people have been able to embrace this brother now. It's easy to embrace somebody when they're silent. It's easy to embrace somebody when they're dead. You will see all these people come out the woodwork now talking about how they love Muhammad Ali now that he's dead. They love him. I just wonder how many of those people loved him when he was speaking out against injustice in this country. I wonder how many of those people loved the brother when he was speaking out against the Vietnam War. So those are my thoughts. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Oh, and before I go, I just want to say this. I often wonder about the relationship between Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali, like at the time when Malcolm X left the Nation of Islam. Malcolm X was one of Muhammad Ali's mentors, and he was his friend. Malcolm X left the Nation of Islam and later embraced Orthodox Islam, as Muhammad Ali would do years later. And at that time, I'm not aware of Muhammad Ali making any kind of supportive statements about Malcolm X. Um, in fact, I know that Muhammad Ali continued to remain in the nation and he continued to support Elijah Muhammad. And I just wonder, like, what he was thinking at that time, like what he thought about Malcolm X's decision to leave the nation, and what he thought about Malcolm X's statements against his former teacher. And I'm sure somebody probably has some articles about that. If you do, post some links in the comment section. I would be interested in reading those. But yeah, I just wonder about that. So with that, I'll just close by saying that, I pray that God forgives Muhammad Ali for his sins and blesses him with paradise. I send my condolences to his family. May the brother rest in peace and power.